On today's episode, I want to break down some of the trade rumors out there involving Kyle Pitts and a couple of trade targets as well for Terry Fontenot and company. But really quickly, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We are 21 subscribers away from reaching 33,000 here on the channel. So if you have not hopped aboard yet, scroll on down, click that subscribe button. Now, I did not think I would be talking about this exact topic just a few days ago, but over the weekend, multiple viewers sent me tweets from Jay Ben and him putting out what is being passed off a little bit like not quite fact because we're not quite the fact stage yet of a trade rumor process, but something that has momentum, which is the Chiefs reaching out to the Falcons about Pitts' availability if Travis Kelce retires. He also put out a few days before that, the Falcons have reached out to the Cowboys, Bengals, and Browns for their star players. So let's talk about this overall, I don't want to say concept, but origin of a trade rumor. I'm not running with trade rumors from Twitter accounts that I have either never interacted with or don't have, I don't want to say a ton of credibility because I don't know anything about J-Ben other than his bio says he was a former Atlanta sports radio talk host and he's got some interesting tweets to say the least. Beyond that, I know as much as you do about the guy. But what I can tell you is after trying to do some research and learning about who Jay Ben is, he does appear to be somewhere in like a no man's land of, no, he's not an accredited like ESPN journalist, but he's not a burner either that just puts shit out there to see if it sticks. He is somewhere in the middle, and if enough of you guys asked me to talk about this, I figured, okay, let's discuss the possibility. But I don't want anyone to get the idea from today's video that I am passing along this as a fact that Kyle Pitts is going to go to the Chiefs or that Kansas City has called Atlanta for guarantee. But welcome to the NFL offseason. It's filled with rumors, and if rumors aren't your thing, that's fine. I'll just let you know when rumors turn into real stories, you're going to be very behind the times because those that follow the channel will be way ahead of you. So, does it make sense for the Chiefs to pursue Kyle Pitts? Yeah, like I could see them actually doing this, especially if Kelce retires. If I'm Atlanta, though, you got to ask yourself, if Kansas City wants to trade for Kyle Pitts, should we trade him away? I used to have this ongoing theory when I was like in middle school and into high school that if the Patriots want to trade a player to you, you should not take that trade because clearly they are a step ahead of everyone and they know something you don't know. Same thing if they want to trade for one of your players. Whoa, what is New England seeing in him that we're not seeing in him? So I'm at that stage right now with Kansas City. But the first 4 years of Pitts' career after being the 4th overall pick have been disappointing. I don't think that's a scalding hot take or anything like that. Set the rookie tight end record for yards at 1,026 in year one. And since then, it's just been mediocre. Now, the good news is if you hold on to him for 10, 15 years, you can see the trajectory he's on for touchdowns. 1, 2, 3, 4. So pretty soon he'll be at 8, 9 in a season. So that's pretty good. But I just keep bouncing back to a couple of real hardcore facts. Fact number 1, Terry Fontenot said this after the season ended. When you take a player that high in the draft, obviously you expect a certain level. We understand Kyle had a really good rookie year, and he hasn't equaled or exceeded that production since then. There's no excuses we're making about it. So that's first fact. Fact number 2, his role decreased at the end of the season. Look at the snap percentage. Not even cracking the field majority of the time. So from the GM perspective, he flat out calls him underwhelming, disappointing. From a head coaching perspective, they don't trust him on the field more than 45% of snaps. And from a financial standpoint, there's a lot to gain by trading Pitts away. You could get $10.8 million in salary cap space by getting that fully guaranteed 5th-year option off of your books. So those 3 boxes right there start to check a lot for me of GM doesn't seem all that in bed with Pitts. The head coach isn't playing him. And now I'm seeing $10.8 million in salary cap relief coming your way. I mean, what does this all equal? Probably a trade. If I had to put money down, I think there's a greater chance that Pitts is traded versus not traded. Now, I've been wrong before, so I don't want... I think last offseason, by the way, some people might have misconstrued when I would say, like, Justin Fields is a Falcon. I didn't say that from a standpoint of someone inside the walls of Flowery Branch just told me they're trading for Justin Fields. No, that was just me making my prediction. And hey, I'm going to get stuff wrong, but like Michael Scott once said, you miss 100% of shots you don't take. So I'd rather give a prediction and be wrong than just keep my mouth shut, be like Liechtenstein, and just be irrelevant. Sorry to people in Liechtenstein, although I doubt any viewers are watching from there. So would you trade Kyle Pitts? This is a very polarizing topic. To the people that don't want to trade Pitts, how can you ignore those three facts we just laid out? Right? What the GM said, the snap percentage, and the salary. You may like him as a player still and may think he has a lot of potential, but are all signs not pointing to they're moving on from him? So that was the first trade that J-Ben put out there. The other trade he talked about was these three pass rushers. Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson. We've talked about these three players before on the channel, but I can kind of consolidate and summarize a little bit of what's going on with all three of these guys. So let's go one by one in order of their age. Starting with Micah. I'm going to spend the least amount of time on Micah because I think it's least likely. The Cowboys love to be in the news, so they probably have no issue with people talking about the Cowboys maybe trading Micah because it means they're in the news, and that's what Jerry Jones wants to do. But at the end of the day, they're going to give Parsons a mega extension that's going to make him the first, the second, or the third highest paid defensive end in football. I don't think they're ever actually going to trade him, so I do not see a Parsons trade actually happening. Now, on the Myles Garrett side of things, over the weekend or right before the weekend, Dianna Russini from The Athletic, who kind of had a rough week last week talking about Aaron Rodgers and the Jets and some Pat McAfee stuff. She did put this out, though. My dark horse candidate to land Garrett, Atlanta, holds draft pick number 15, and as usual, needs to improve on the league's second worst sack total, especially with Matthew Judon likely to depart in free agency. If I'm Terry Fontenot, if I'm the Atlanta Falcons, I am in heavy pursuit of Garrett. I am calling the Browns until they block my number. I am going to be the worst ex-girlfriend ever. I'll Venmo them $1 just to get a message to them. That's how desperate and over the top Atlanta should be in trying to land the 2023 Defensive Player of the Year, who is the first player in NFL history to have 6 seasons with 12-plus sacks before he even turns 30 years old. Garrett's going to play at an all-pro level for, I think, a minimum of 3 more seasons. Probably go from an all-pro level to like a Pro Bowl level for the next 2 seasons and still be a solid contributor into his mid-30s. Look at John Abraham. I was kind of curious, like, oh, maybe a little bit similar. I mean, Garrett's much better, but John Abraham, guys, he had 11 and a half sacks when he was 35 years old. These guys are not like running backs and they fall off a cliff at 30 years old. No, defensive ends can play at a high level into their early to mid-30s. And if that's not good enough for you for Atlanta to make a trade or pursue a trade, how about this? Since Terry Fontenot became the GM, Atlanta is dead last in the NFL in sacks since 2021. And it's not even particularly close. The Panthers, I mean, look how far ahead they are. And look at the gap between 31st and 30. 6 sacks. And then look at the gap. This is literally a scene out of Moneyball, right? There's bad teams, there's 50 feet of crap, and then there's us. That is where Atlanta is right now. And for reference, look at the top 5 highest teams in sacks since 2021. Ravens, playoffs. Cowboys, playoffs. Buccaneers, playoffs. Eagles, Super Bowl. Steelers, playoffs. This is a position you must invest in. And if that means Atlanta overpays, if that means they make an offer to Cleveland, the Browns say no, and then the Falcons go, well, toss in an extra first. When you're 32nd in sacks since 2021, you might have to do that because you're probably not having a lot of success at finding edge rushers in round number 1, given your track record since 2021. So the Falcons should do everything in their power to try and acquire Garrett. Doesn't mean they'll have success because the Browns have been adamant they don't want to move on from him, but Make him an offer they can't refuse. That should be the mindset for Fontenot over the next month and a half. The third player that was brought up, Trey Hendrickson. I put him last because of his age, and he's not quite as popular of a name, although he did just lead the NFL in sacks with 17.5. He's got sneaky good production. Former first-round pick by the Saints, goes to Cincinnati. You can see what he's done since joining the Bengals. 17.5 sacks, 17.5 sacks. Then 8 sacks, and then 14 sacks. Like, he's second in the NFL in forced fumbles over the last couple of years. The guy is a little bit on the underappreciated side. He's not going to be as expensive as Parsons, who's much younger, or Garrett, who has a piece of hardware in his trophy case that's hard to get out of your head. But man, the production is not very far behind for him. I mean, like I said, 11 forced fumbles since 2021. That's tied for second most in the NFL, and he is top 10 in almost every other category right there. So Hendrickson, in my eyes, is not a bad plan C for the Falcons. I wonder if Atlanta suggests, what about Kyle Pitts for Trey Hendrickson swap? There's been some buzz that maybe the Bengals want a tight end. Imagine if the Bengals, because they are clearly trying to not piss off Joe Burrow by losing T. Higgins, but if they end up losing Higgins, what if they tell Joe, listen, we can't afford Higgins, but we're going to get you Kyle Pitts? Does that make you a little bit happier with this outcome? Maybe, maybe not. But I could see that, and then there's probably some draft picks that go back and forth, but this could be a good resolution for both sides. Before we get on out of here, 2 quick things. One, there's an awesome deal still going on over at Fanatics. It's this Falcons shirt. It is 50% off. I put that link in the comments and description of today's video. So if you want to get some Falcons gear and merch in your life, check it out. It's a great way to save some money as we gear up for the summer months and you want to get some new Falcons stuff in your wardrobe. And then one quick question before I let you go here, and then a little bit of surprise for everyone. If you had to trade for one of these guys, who would it be? If I'm the Falcons, I'm probably going like 1, 2, 3. I put Parsons last because I just think he's the least realistic, but if he truly was available, it'd go 1, 2, 3. So let me know which trade you'd want to pursue. Probably the most expensive, the least expensive, and then the youngest, but also very expensive. Let's do a quick wheel spin to pick a commenter. I just went in our last video's comment section and selected 6 random names. So shout out to those of you guys that comment on every single video of ours. Greatly appreciate the commenters club down below. So let's spin a wheel to see who the commenter of the day is. And congrats to Life of a Ham. Life of a Ham, congrats to you. Thank you for commenting and watching. 2 claps for Life of a Ham, everyone. 1, 2. Enjoy the rest of your President's Day and your Monday, and I'll see everyone tomorrow.